Buffalo Bills tight end Dalton Kincaid had a breakout performance on Thursday. Can you trust him in your dynasty lineups moving forward? All that and more in this episode of the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Marcus Mosher and Kate Madjuk.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. Joining me today, as always, is Kate Madjuk. We've got an absolutely fantastic show lined up for you today. We're going to talk about the game last night. We're going to do some commotion at the end. But I want to start with Dalton Kincaid, who, I got to start last night with Dawson Knox out with a wrist injury and did not disappoint. 5 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets. Also had another catch that was stopped at the 1-yard line. This could have been an even bigger day, Kate. But can you trust Kincaid moving forward?
I think as long as we have Dawson Knox out of the lineup, which he is at least out of the lineup another 3 games, right? Placed on injured reserve, so that puts him out at least 4 weeks. One of them being the week 8 game that we just played. We saw Dalton Kincaid play a season high 58 snaps. I saw him run a season high 40 routes on the day, and he looked good, man. Like he looked absolutely the part. He did everything that you would have wanted to see from him. That goal line fade that just barely, like, if you would have seen Josh Allen just float that ball up a little bit more, get a little bit more of that like rainbow curve, we're talking about a 2 touchdown day for the rookie tight end. And I think,
well, I was also talking about the one that they ran like a little shovel pass into him.
That's right. Oh my God, it could have been a 3. It was almost a 3 touchdown day.
Yeah, he was close to getting into the end zone multiple times in this game.
And you love to see the usage, right? Like it felt like, obviously Josh Allen has a myriad of weapons here, but it felt like Dalton Kincaid was a guy that he was looking for early and often. Again, still one of these smaller tight ends. He's 6'3", 240 pounds, and like doesn't profile as much of a blocker. So like it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It's a match made in heaven. Marcus, do you know how many pass blocking snaps Dalton Kincaid has had so far this year?
10?
2.
I was high.
1, 2. It hasn't allowed of pressure on any of those pass blocking snaps, but literally he is a wide receiver. So like that is it for anybody who's wondering, like, well, what's the split? That is the split. He's running routes. He's not blocking, like, period. Which again, you really, really love to see. It just in general, it has gotten a little bit more work as a run blocker than he has a pass blocker. But like, I really care about those pass blocking snaps because those are receiving opportunities. I don't care so much about the run blocking snaps. Those are, they're great. Keep them on the field. Maybe there's an audible that catches a ball, but like, if they're calling a pass play, I want him running a route. And to date, that is exactly what is happening with Dalton Kincaid. Now, like, he's got the draft pedigree. He's got everything you need. I think the question is, what do you do when Dawson Knox comes back? And that for me is the bigger question, because we had seen a little bit of a bump in week 7 regarding his usage. Any concern that like we see Dawson Knox coming back and that relegates him back to, running fewer routes? Because Dawson Knox, though he has primarily blocked, he does occasionally run routes and he does occasionally get a target in the red zone.
A little bit. I mean, Dawson Knox is still a good player who you want him on the field. You just don't want to give him as many targets as what he's seen over the first 2 months of the season. But I also don't think you can put once you see Kincaid doing what he's doing, I don't think you can put him back into like a limited role.
I think the technical term is you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah, I'm all messed up on my metaphors.
That feels like the right metaphor.
I want to give you the play to me that just sold me, because the question at the beginning was, can you trust Dalton Kincaid? And the answer to me is yes. The first play out of halftime, the Bills get the ball. They're down. Oh, sorry, they're up 17-10. They need to put together a drive. They have Kincaid in the slot on the left, and they run a slant for him. And the ball is thrown so far behind him that he has to kind of stretch. He makes the catch and still gets upfield and it's an 18-yard gain. It's like, this is what Buffalo has been missing on offense for the last 3-4 weeks. It's made them so inconsistent, as they just don't have anybody else that can make a big play down the middle of the field outside of Stephon Diggs. He's perfect for this offense. He's exactly what they need to unlock Josh Allen. And that's why I think, yes, the answer for me is I'm going to trust him moving forward, because he is such a prolific receiver.
Okay, so 2 questions before we move on to our next topic surrounding Dalton Kincaid here. So, first of all, Dalton Kincaid or Sam Laporta?
No, don't do this. This is like choosing between my son and my daughter. This is
You
really,
no, you have to pick, because Marcus, there are going to be people who maybe not now, or maybe in a trade situation, and they're
yes,
wondering
you're
which
right.
of these 2 tight ends do I need to should I be looking at? Because honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I think the price tag is going to be
They're going to
very
start getting
similar for the
closer.
2.
Yeah, they're going to
Yes.
start getting closer. I would rather have Sam Laporta, a little bit younger. I like his fit in the offense a little bit more. It seems like his targets are going to be a little bit more consistent game in and game out. I would take Laporta.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there. Obviously Kincaid got the first round draft pedigree. Sam Laporta not far behind him, taken 34th
Was
overall.
that like 6 spots difference?
Yeah, like this was neck and neck. There's no comparison in terms of their draft capital, but yeah, I think Sam Laporta we can probably peg for a more consistent role in the offense. Obviously, we love his Laporta's speed, his athleticism, um, you know, yards after the catch ability, like that. All of these things that you also love Kincaid for. You see a lot of that in Sam Laporta,
Yep.
but I definitely think Sam Laporta is in for a more consistent role in the offense. Last question regarding this passing offense before we move on. Any concern about Stephon Diggs? Because you talk about consistency and involvement in the offense. Stephon Diggs, it either feels like he is the only guy or he is not a guy. And I'm going to be honest, as a fantasy manager who I've traded for Stephon Diggs in some of my win now leagues. And, I was just kind of banking on like, okay, you said it, forget it. I'm going to get 20 plus points but it feels like Diggs is not always the focal point. Do you have any concern regarding Stephon Diggs at this point in the season?
He has 51 targets over the last 4 games. I'm not really all that concerned. Like,
Okay.
he's getting so many targets that it's hard to be out on him. On those 2 targets, 2 100-yard games, 2 games with a touchdown. Even yesterday, Kate, like, he had a down game, 9 for 70. So like in a PPR league, you're still getting 16 points from him in a down game. So no, I'm
So
not
I'm just
concerned.
being greedy.
A little bit, yeah. That's fine.
It's just
We've grown so
honestly
accustomed to Stephon Diggs having monster games every week.
the frustration I think honestly lies when you see. I think it's exacerbated by the presence of Deontay Hardy and Khalil Shakir that
Yes.
just and Latavius Murray, like get him out of here. But yeah, you're right. I'm greedy. Thanks for taking me off the ledge.
That's all right. Let's talk about some other players in this Buffalo offense, including a non-starting running back. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That is $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. I absolutely love betting futures. I know I tell you guys all this time. Division bets, MVP, comeback player of the year, all some of my favorite bets. I also love the same game parlays that FanDuel offers. So many great ways to bet on the app. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. Football season is here, and Locked On is kicking up our coverage with Locked On NFL Kickoff Live. Each Friday, Locked On will go live at 2 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On NFL YouTube channel. Host Tanitra Batiste, Jarvis Davis, and Kyle Krabs will break down every game on the NFL slate to get you ready for kickoff. You've got your team's matchups coming up. We've got fantasy lineups that they talk about, betting angles, and so much more. Plus, get the in-depth local analysis from our stable of NFL hosts across the country who know these teams better than anyone else. Find Locked On NFL Kickoff Live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern on any Locked On NFL YouTube channel. Okay, let's talk about James Cook. Latavius
Backup
Murray,
running back for the Buffalo Bills
backup
team?
running back. Yes, Latavius Murray got the start again. It's only by name. James Cook finished with 14 carries for 67 yards, 1 for 6 as a receiver. I gotta say, I'm kind of shocked that we just haven't seen him be more involved as a pass catcher. Excuse me.
Very shocking, just the usage like in its entirety. So last 3 weeks, I believe, are where Latavius Murray has gotten starts, right? Looking at their production over the past few weeks, you've seen Latavius Murray get 21 total rush attempts. James Cook just 41 over the past 3 weeks. Have James Cook averaging a 12% missed force tackle rate to Latavius Murray's 5%. More explosive, averaging 4.7 yards per carry. I mean, last night, Marcus, it felt like every time James Cook touched the ball, it went for 8 yards or
Yeah, he looked
more.
good.
He looked fantastic. And yet, still in these critical situations, Latavius Murray has been on the field way too much. And like, I can't for the life of me figure out why. Latavius Murray sees a higher stuff rate, sees fewer yards before contact.
He's not a good goal line runner. That's the other thing. He's big, but he's not a good goal line back.
And I think genuinely speaking, like the explosion that James Cook offers you is much more than you're getting from Latavius Murray, who, to this point in the season, I feel like they tried to find sort of that, like, I think what they're looking for is a power type back. And they might have had that with Damian Harris, but obviously dealing with an injury. And now you need to find someone to step in here, but
They
it's
also worked
so
out Leonard
ineffective.
Fournette a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised that you don't have. I still don't even think that like Leonard Fournette would be the best type of back for this backfield. I think to this point he's probably better as a receiver, but this hasn't been a offense that is very frequently targeting the running backs. Like, what are the Buffalo Bills doing? Because James Cook has been a name that has continued to climb, like, I feel like up and down draft boards in dynasty fantasy football leagues. I think people see the talent, and that is translated to dynasty stock. He's right now in the month of October was drafted on average as the RB15 dynasty startup drafts. 24 years old. He's 5'11", just under 200 pounds. He's got the draft capital, but the team still is going to Latavius Murray in these crucial situations. So what does that tell us about James Cook? He's not getting as many of those valuable touches in the red zone, which we know, like, give me a touch in the red zone over a touch in the,
wherever,
like anywhere on the field like that. I want that potential for a touchdown, but when those opportunities come up, it's not James Cook. And I'm a little worried, especially considering how highly we're valuing James Cook at this point.
I am too. At the same, when you said RB15, it's just like, man, that feels so high. And then you start to look at the names behind him, and it's like,
yeah,
would I really take Rashad White, who we'll get to in a second, over James Cook? Would I take Zach Charbonnet over James Cook? Would I take Kyron Williams? Probably not. It's just where we are at right now for the state of running backs in dynasty leagues. I will say that I think the saving grace for me is that he looked good last night.
Yeah.
Like whenever he got the ball, and you mentioned it, it felt like every run was going for 5 or 6 yards. We've seen him as a pass catcher, how good he is in the open field. I'm just hoping as he advances in his career a little bit, maybe the Bills will put more on his plate. But it's not like he's not getting any work. I mean, 15 touches isn't insignificant. We would just like to see it creep up to like 18, 19 touches and get some more work near the goal line and get some more passing down work. But I just think this is one of the
Yeah.
things we're going to have to kind of grind out for the next year or so.
I think it's not, I think you hit that nail on the head. It's not as much about the touch total as it is where those
Where the
touches
yeah,
are and the type of touches they are. And that I think is the biggest source of frustration. Because you're right. You look at that total and you think, all right, if James Cook is going to touch the ball 15 times a game, I'd be happy with that because he is such an explosive player. He doesn't necessarily need all that many touches, right? Like
I think the sweet
he can be
spot actually is
efficient.
like 16 touches for him. 16,
Yeah.
17 touches.
But I want more of those to let me in the building and I'll put more of those touches like
We want
in
the
the
high
red
value
zone
touches.
and yeah, give me those high value touches. And, I think maybe, I think we're going to continue to see ups and downs in the
Yeah.
way he's utilized as a receiver, but just by nature of Josh Allen and the offense. But generally speaking, you're right. It feels high, but the names behind him, like Zach Charbonnet, Derrick Henry, who 29 years old, been largely ineffective. I think this is probably the most interesting name being drafted behind him right now, and you're gonna be grossed out. David Montgomery, RB
Yeah.
23,
I
which
take Montgomery.
I'd probably take Montgomery. So if I can take James Cook and flip him for David Montgomery now, like
I would do
I'm
that.
not saying the talent is there. I'm not saying the talent is comparable. They are very different types of running backs. Obviously, James Cook, younger, fewer touches, more explosive. But which one of these guys do I think is going to win me a fantasy football championship? If I had to pick, it's
Montgomery.
probably David Montgomery, and I could get James Cook plus for David
Yes.
Montgomery.
Really quickly, before we move on to promotion commotion, I just wanted to mention Rashad White, 9 for 39 on the ground, whatever. 7 for 70 as a receiver. This is the best game I've seen him as a pass catcher. I wonder if that's here to stay.
That I think is the biggest takeaway for Rashad White. And even like on the ground, I thought like again, you can't really put a lot of stock in the usage on the ground with this Buccaneers. They have not been able to establish the run, but somebody said on the broadcast last night, like the check downs to the running back feels like they've suddenly replaced their run game altogether. And I think that's a very good point, which means Rashad White, if he's going to continue to be involved as a receiver like this, he's looked great. I thought last night was probably the most explosive I've seen him look, just in general on the field. Got found a little bit of breathing room there and really showed a lot of burst. And I was very excited about this. I don't think you need to go out and trade for him necessarily, but it's exciting to see as a guy who's being drafted as a top 24 running back in Dynasty right now.
All right, Kate, let's do our favorite segment of the week. It's promotion commotion, players that you need to promote from your bench or even the waiver wire into your starting lineups in week 8. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, all you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had playing DFS. You can win up to 25 times your money this football season. Again, just pick 2 to 6 players. There's so many different players to choose from, so many different stat categories. It's absolutely amazing. Plus, PrizePicks has the reboot policy, which will reboot your entry if one of your players is injured in the first half and does not return for the second half. This is available for NFL games and top 25 college football matchups. Again, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second half, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. This episode is brought to you by DoorDash. Did the game just go to timeout? Time to order in with DoorDash. Is it halftime? That's ordering in time. 2-minute warning, you got it. That is your cue to order in. Whenever the game clock stops, that is time to order in with DoorDash. There's no reason to root for your favorite team on an empty stomach. Order on DoorDash and save on football watch parties this season. I am here in Corey, Pennsylvania. We've got some outstanding wings and pizza places. My favorite right now is the Corner Bar and Grill. Did a little bit last night for that Bills Tampa Bay game. Always have to order wings when you watch the Bills. You can order pizza, wings, soda, burgers, or even just buns on DoorDash and get it all delivered without missing the game. Get prepared before game day. Stock up on your favorite appetizers and order all of your tailgate gear on DoorDash. Then get ready to watch your team win. Get 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter promo code LOCKED23. Again, subject to change, terms apply, but that is 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter promo code LOCKED23. Subject to change, terms apply. All right, Kate, let's finish up here with promotion commotion. Who are you promoting from your bench into your starting lineups in week 8?
This one hurts me, Marcus. It's Devin Singletary, Houston Texans running back.
I had him too. This is awesome.
It breaks my heart to say this. Dameon Pierce, he came out, had the workhorse role, but that doesn't seem to be working out necessarily. Prior to the bye, this team had in week 7, they were getting Singletary involved. He got a season high 13 touches, 62 yards, outproduced Pierce in yards per attempt, yards after contact per attempt, missed forced tackle rate. Like, he looked like the better running back, and now they go up against the Carolina Panthers, ranked dead last in the league with a 46 PFF run defense grade. They're allowing a league high in EPA per play on rushing plays. Like, this is, a very yummy, delicious matchup. And I think that, like, this is going to be a game where this team that I do think really wants to establish the run is going to come out of the bye and continue to feed Motor Singletary. Moda.
I love it. I am starting a running back who is not their team's RB1, RB2, or even their RB3.
Oh, no.
I'm going Pierre Strong for the Cleveland Browns, who they traded from New England earlier this year. No Jerome Ford this week, who is out with a low-grade high ankle injury. Kareem Hunt is going to be the starter, but Kareem Hunt also dealing with an injury. Also, he's old, and I'm not sure how good he is anymore. Pierre Strong has
old.
Pierre Strong just has some juice to him, and I don't think Seattle is this great defense. I think you could run on them a little bit. I think Pierre Strong, who got 8 carries last week, I think he's going to get 13, 14 touches, and with his speed, all he needs is one big run to be fantasy relevant.
I like that. I'll close it out one more with a note just to go back to this rookie who had an absolute breakout performance here in week 7. Josh Downs, rookie for the Indianapolis Colts.
Love it.
The breakout game, you might be wondering if it's a fluke. He's going up against the Saints, who have been one of the league's best defenses in this season. But where their weakness has lied is in the slot against slot quarterback Alontae Taylor for the Saints, just, giving up a league high in terms of yardage and touchdowns in slot coverage. This is going to be, I think, a game that very much favors Josh Downs, who's, led the team in targets from the slot, leads the team in receiving yards from the slot. He's looked good doing it. This is, I think, a matchup that you can go back to and not worry about whether or not that was like a flash in the pan from this rookie.
I agree. I just also think he's really good. And it seems like he's got a connection with Gardner Minshew. I want him in my lineup for a couple different reasons. He's going to produce. He's also really fun to watch. So I love that call by you, Kate. That is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every single day. Every dayers. We will be back on Monday to break down all of the Week 8 action. We'll also preview a little bit Raiders Lions if you care about that game at all. What an awful Monday Night Football game. But that is besides the point. We are free and available on all platforms. Go check out our show on YouTube. Go follow Kate on Twitter at Kate Majuk. Go check out her work at Pro Football Focus. She does some awesome fantasy content over there. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. Enjoy the games, and we will see you right back here on Monday.